Hello Curious Wanderers, welcome to my newest video. Today I've got another Photoshop drawing, which is probably not surprising to anyone. But today I've actually drawn a male character, which is something that I struggle with, honestly. I usually draw female characters, but as has been pointed out to me, having an all-female cast would not be, just because I'm being lazy as an artist is not a good enough reason to have like an all-female cast. Like I do want some variety of characters in my stories. So this is actually one of the main characters. His name is Markov. He's a very grumpy character. Always looks a little tired, and he's a very logical thinker, not a very emotional thinker. And here you can see that I was struggling drawing crossed arms. So yeah. Now I didn't use a model for this one either. I just sketched it, and seeing as it's a male character too, it took me quite a few tries. There's quite a few layers of colored lines, because every time I try to sketch over the last sketch, I choose a different color so I can see what I'm sketching, but then it gets into a colorful mess when I'm having a hard time. So yeah, the thing with Markov is this is actually my second attempt at designing him. I had a hard time deciding what he would wear, in part due to some of the some of his magical abilities really would affect his clothing, because he well, I don't want to reveal what he does, because that'd be a spoiler. But I needed to think of his backstory and think of what would be convenient for him when it came to his clothing. I feel like that's a very important aspect of designing a character too. Is you can design a character just based off of looking cool, for sure, but I find it's more interesting to think of that character's personality, the environment they live in, and any limitations that character might have. Like if you have a very lazy character, but then he's always like super has like super intricate clothing, like maybe a lazy character would want more casual clothing, like thinking of things like that. Markov is not a lazy character, just a cranky one, and he gets more possessive over his things. Like he likes to take good care of them. So having that in mind, I designed him clothes that, although it might look a bit more complicated, it's designed in a way where it's easily taken on or off, as an example, and it's sturdy, so that it'll take a lot more to cause it to be wrinkled or things like that. And but yeah, so I found designing this character took me a lot more time than the others, even though I don't know if it'll show that way towards the end. But here I'm struggling with a hand again. I think that will be a reoccurring theme for me. And well, I know it's a little early to talk about it, but I do plan on participating in Inktober. If you haven't heard of Inktober, it's when you do an ink drawing every day of October, and I want to use it as an excuse to practice my skills, because as much as drawing like finished characters like this in Photoshop is really practicing my Photoshop skills, I do want to improve a bit on my drawing skills themselves, because I can get to a result like here with Markov and whatnot, but it's just that it feels like a bit of a struggle. So I'm gonna use, I want to participate in Inktober and see if like drawing every day would like force some technical practice into me, just to just to get a little more efficient and a little better at conveying what I want to convey. I mean, I know it's only 30 days, but still, I think it's really good for you. So, if any of my art friends who are watching, you should probably consider doing the Inktober challenge as well, because I think it'll be a lot of fun. It might be hard, but it'll be fun. But yeah, so you can see this is the final result. Now, like in Photoshop, like this drawing per se actually took me 3 hours and 45 minutes, which is really fast for me. It's the fastest drawing I've done in Photoshop so far. What took me a long time is actually designing the character. So like not in Photoshop here, like not in the video, but like just like rough sketches and like really ugly drawings, but that are more intended to put ideas on paper, not intended to look good, if you know what I mean. So like there's a bunch of those, trying to decide what colors to use, and trying to decide, like, do I want him to have shoes or boots? Do I want him to have stiff or loose materials? Like, how much lift do I want? And I feel like that took me ages. Also, Markov is a newer character to me. He's a character that my significant other created. So I feel like that makes it a little harder in my brain to convey the character, since I'm not the one who like invented the character. So I'm very happy with this final design. I've drawn him in the past as well, and I had spent a lot of time trying to design him that time, but I wasn't satisfied with the design. I reconsulted with my significant other, who is helping me to write the story, and we went over what I liked, what I didn't like, and then he offered some suggestions, or and we worked on it together, and it was really fun. So this is an image of magma that I'm using as a base for a color scheme. So the colors that I'm using are taken from the image of the magma to the right, so as to be a bit more consistent with the character scheme, the color scheme, and all that. I did a similar thing with Kira and like the squirrel, if you've watched that video. But yeah. So I used a bit more muted colors with Markov's clothing. Like the base of his colors seemed to be more purpley, but kind of darker purples. But for the I wanted to give a bit of a pop, so like the trims, I used a bit of a saturated red or a brighter red to kind of give a bit of an accent, so it gives a little interest. And yeah, he has a bit of crazy hair. He's not really the type to he's very much a I got up this way type of hairstyle. And he I shaded him in a way to try to make him look a little more tired, because he seems to always be tired. And except for that, I think that's everything I had to say about the character design aspect. So then I just shaded him, signed the image, and that's it. So thank you so much for watching my videos, and check if you want to check any of my art, or Instagram or Facebook or all that. All the links are in the description below. Have yourselves a good day, morning, night, whatever time it is where you are, and take care.